These are the audio notes to Vagrein by J.P. Herman. You're storytellers, and you are telling yourselves the same stories over and over again, but you don't read between the lines. You're literal, literally literal. You hear words and forget that they are vibrations floating through the space of nothingness. You forget that they are marks on paper, some which absorb the light and some which do not. You are not able, as we are, to see or read past the words themselves and get the full transmission of the author or storyteller. It is a limit, but one you can overcome. What is there to do? There is nothing you must do. If you choose to be, you are ready. You're ready to let go of suffering completely. How to use this book. Behind each word is also the corresponding energy transmission. So again, go slow. Allow yourself the time to absorb what is written. Vagrein has informed me that your action and intention to read this book is equivalent to consenting to completely and effortlessly integrate and embodying the knowing within it. There will be no way to get through the book you are about to read without some form of suspended belief. By this, we ask you for the duration of reading this text to endeavor to hold off on applying what you think to be true in your mind, much like you would should you be reading a work of fiction. There is nothing wrong with discomfort. It is the fertile soil of growth. A stigma surrounds channeling and channeled material, even amongst those of you who are open-minded. There is a confusion that through this format, one is talking to something outside of or higher than their own state of consciousness. We are not outside of you. We are not higher than your consciousness. All is possible and all is available and all is on its way. All is you. Ultimately, you will understand that there is no external intelligence. There's this vast nature and variety of your internal intelligence will reveal itself once your positioning of self shifts to what you truly are. Humanity now shifts towards the many contacts with other forms of consciousness. However, before you imagine spaceships landing in your front yard, know that those of you who are open and willing will not be exposed to such a sudden shock. You will have your first contacts with other forms of consciousness. These contacts will be conscious, unconscious, or semi-conscious and are occurring right now. The words you're reading are your current accepted form of first contact. Know that there is more to come. Meeting the entity group. It is a human act to give a name. It is the first act of separation imposed upon you. There is no need to fear, for even the alienation that you face as a bridge or a messenger is perfectly placed to respect those who do not wish to hear. The rising does not happen through action. You are already risen. It is not a verb. The dark ones, those who are sleeping, those who are actively harming, they need your love. God is the what is. You are. The question is, what do you want? Do you want to play the game of saving the world in the world that does not need to be saved? Or do you want the what is? Do you want God? There is a huge amount of gratitude, appreciation, and love for you for your decision to fill this role. You are able, through a series of physical and emotive variables and through a preconceived contract, to tap into the source of our energy. Remember, there is nowhere you have to be. There is nothing you have to do. There is no way that you have to act. There is no way to make a mistake. You are in service. You are of service. You cannot be of service. You cannot not be of service. You are already whole and complete and full. Seeking ends when sharing begins. Then, on a website which helps new parents to choose baby names, I found the name Vagrein with no explanation but these words: seeking ends when sharing begins. Who or what is Vagrein? We can be described as a group of beings beyond physical materialization with shared consciousness that communicate with you at this time because of a request brought through you, this group, and those reaching for communication of this nature. We are known as Vagrein. This is a name, or as any other name associated with us, only for the ability to differentiate ourselves from other, and therefore is not truly a name with which we would associate ourselves. Our intention is to assist with transition from separation consciousness, which is what you as a planet are experiencing at this time, to unity consciousness. We intend to aid you in finding your own road towards a balance between love and wisdom. The tools you seek are and always have been within you. The first and primary theme we present is to help in the understanding of oneness, as oneness includes all. Our secondary themes would be love and self-love. A drop of water has a ripple effect and it goes in all directions. The drop of water remains the same regardless of the form of the wave created by its impact with what it has touched. There is always some form of agenda. Our agenda is close to the intention of creation, expansion. You must remember that every experience that you are having with every other self is exactly because they have nothing better to do. Every being is experiencing the absolute best experience for them in any moment, even if they are not appreciating that. So if you are talking to a teller at the post office and they are very grumpy with you and it seems as if they want to be somewhere else, they are still exactly where they are meant to be. You may prefer to have a more gregarious teller, but you are also where you need to be. You have nowhere better to be. The nice trick that you could extract from this understanding would be to find that thing for which you feel the most reverence. Find that thing to which you give the most authority. Then breathe into the feelings that come with that reverence and sense of authority, and understand that these feelings and these sensations could not exist without you. For a part of you knows that you are not what you think you are. That part of you did not arrive at awareness knowing or thinking that it was on a planet, or that it was a human, or that it was male or female, or that it had limits or boundaries. Forgetting who you are not. We can label for convenience sake who you are not as the ego or the person. This ego is synonymous with separation and can be described as any form of separation in its myriad of forms. We are proposing to you the choice of forgetting separation. The only death you will experience if you choose to forget is the death of all the perceived limitations you have been facing in your life. They cannot exist without this belief in separation. As a small child, before all of those lessons, you knew what it felt like to be alive, and no one had to tell you. So forget what they told you, because before they did, you already knew. Your negative feelings can only come back in when you're not in touch with that truth, because that baby knew nothing of guilt or shame, fear, unworthiness, separation. How could it? Choice creates your destiny, and the only true choice is surrendering to destiny. The forgetting of what you are not, or the remembering of what you are, requires only you choosing to do so. The all that is all that is. All that is what is. It is all that one can and does experience, all that one can and does know, all that one can and does feel, all that one can and does sense, all that one can and does think. It includes all within and without perception. It is every blade of grass. It is every grain of sand. It is every drop in the ocean, and includes one of you. You are not only a part of the all that is, but simultaneously all that is. You cannot be apart from the all that is. You are all that you see. You are all that you touch. You are all that you hear. You are all you sense, all you smell, all you taste, all that is beyond your senses, all that you see, all that you touch, all you sense, all you hear, all you smell, all you taste, and all that is beyond your senses is all the what is. There is no exclusion, nothing left out, and nothing that is beyond its encompassing. being who you came here to be. Desire in general does not come from you. You do not choose your desires. It is the creator, or all that is, which chooses your desires. If a desire exists in you, it is your path. You have such a desire to serve, you overlook how you're already serving. You want more because somehow you are convinced that more is better. You don't need more avenues to serve. Your service exactly as you are is enough. You are enough. There's nothing to do once you make this choice. It will all be done for you, but it does involve letting go of everything that you are not. It involves letting go of the opinions that others have of you. There's no one who is going to tell you who you are. You know who you are. You are just pretending not to. We know you to be heroes, all of you. We know you to be the best versions of humanity when you choose to be. It's time to let go of anything that is not your highest version with such love and appreciation, gratitude for how it has kept you all these years. Humanity does not need to be saved, and there's no one to serve. If you chose tomorrow to end all the suffering of the planet, you could. All you would have to do is nothing except be it into awareness. You came here with the desire to be of service. You can feel it deep within yourself, and yet if all is one, which it is, how could there possibly be anyone to serve? Your service is your moment-to-moment experience of being in touch with your heart. Your role here is to align your thoughts with the truth so that you may embody the truth and share the light of truth with more of yourself as a whole. One needs only decide what they want. However, there is a tendency to claim one does not know what they want. If you doubt whether your service has meaning, it has no meaning. If you were tomorrow to believe that your actions could cure cancer and believe it deep enough, there would be no tumors left, and that would be your relevance. It is your belief system and your choosing of your belief system that controls the reality you can perceive. Therefore, changing your beliefs would automatically transform what you see into your preference. Instead of wondering what you have come here to do in order to be in service, you would simply choose to be doing it already and for it to be of the utmost importance. It is helpful to be able to be aware of your belief system and decide if it is serving you or not. There are no negative beliefs per se, but there are beliefs that are serving or not serving. Be diligent in sorting out which thoughts are serving you and which are not, and do not tolerate any thought forms that do not lead you in the direction of your desire. Thoughts create beliefs. Thoughts are part of the all that is, and therefore cannot be yours exclusively. At any time that one is believing themselves to be anything other than the whole of creation, special, weird, different, apart, superior, inferior, they are automatically in a state that is not serving themselves or the whole. You do not have any part in the speed of your messages or service are received, as they will be received in exactly the precise moment to each precise portion of consciousness for which they were meant. It is all calculated to be delivered in accordance with the optimal outcome of the highest timeline for all. So you may feel special or important or proud if you choose to be in service for other selves. However, you can only feel these things if you do not understand that it is simply you who is helping yourself. Once you understand that, you open a doorway to appreciation and gratitude of self and of other self for all that other self is doing for you. This understanding facilitates the only true service. You cannot not be of service. You are already, by your simple intention to be of service. In your everyday activities, you are already highly in service to others, even if you cannot see the fruits of the seeds that you are currently planting. There is teaching that suggests that one needs to purify the self before one can be of service. However, this is not the case, for the self is always purified. From striving to surrender. Your well-being does not require toil. It does not require sweat. It does not require tears. In fact, toil, sweat, and tears are the opposite of your well-being. You are where you need to be, and the only reason why you would need to have toil or sweat or tears is because you do not appreciate where you already are. Are you trying to get to some place you are not? Why would you need to be someplace that you are not? Reflecting upon this question will expose to you beliefs that perhaps you are ready to let go. At any time that your mind is telling you that you need to do something, we would suggest you take a pause and ask why it is you need to do anything at all. For there is no need for anything, even when it is the mind itself that is demanding that from you. If you are not able to go, what you can call deeper into service at this point is simply because this is what is serving you the most at this point in time. It may be because you are wanting to face the struggle of desiring something that does not arrive immediately. It may be because there is some other focus that is pressing upon you, asking to be resolved before you commit yourself 100% to this direction. You can relax. There is no urgency. Your skills and existence are exactly as they need to be in this particular field at this time. It is safe to let go of any form of control in this situation. This discomforts that you're feeling now will not be there for long. Expect the unexpected. The mind or ego or separation does not exist when faced with the light and therefore has a need to argue with the all that is. Here is the way that nature makes plans. It has its intentions. It sets up the conditions for the results that are desires, and then it allows. If conditions change or intentions change, it is flexible with that and it adopts. There is no harm in planting a seed as long as you are not invested in what grows. It is what you are, not what you do, that determines what your life will be. Relax into spending each moment knowing you are in service to others. Use your energy to diminish the outlines of where you believe yourself to end and another to begin. Find a way to release your sense of unworthiness and substitute it with an approximation of love. We would like to remind you as well that there is no rush. Slowing is always a positive choice, as rushing implies that you are future oriented and the future is actually the now. There is nowhere to run to, and you cannot know what your actions will lead to, so do not pretend to know. All time and all space flows through you and not the other way around. You do not need to try so hard. You do not need to push so hard, because the pushing and trying is toward what you perceive as your best outcome. Your best outcome in the game that you are currently playing is to finally believe you do not know what is best for you. It is full surrender into the faith of the what is. You don't need to worry about it. We know you are worthy. You couldn't be here if you weren't. There's a real big bouncer at the door. We will say that resistance requires far more energy than releasing does. There is some fear of pain that will be released when you let go of this striving and resistance to surrender. If you were to see how much power, effort, and force you were using to maintain that block, you would have a slight idea of how powerful you actually are. Surrender and the fact that it is all in your control, they are the same thing. When beings remember that they actually cannot harm one another and it is only one's own perception of a situation that causes harming, there will be levels of freedom and interaction that are far more loving than they are presently in your reality. If every time the sensation or perception of guilt arises, you were to reiterate that you are perfectly innocent and your actions are God moving through you and teaching through you, you would immediately feel relief. Allowing yourself to let go of the thought habits of shame, blame, and guilt, even if the only thing you can accomplish in this incarnation is enough service for your entire lifetime. Everything is channeling. Everyone has the potential to channel what seems like external wisdom and have direct access it for themselves. Beyond that, anyone has the capability to access the entire content of the multiverse and bring it to physical reality in any number of expressions and forms. Everything is channeling because nothing comes from physical reality. For matter to exist, it must arrive through consciousness. Channeling is the act of connecting consciousness to creation. The physical body is a piece of technology. It is the equivalent of your mobile phones. Your phone would be completely useless if it was not connected to anything. Your body is your personal mobile phone connected to the network of consciousness. Your bodies and your personalities are simply the actual physical gadget and the interface through which the technology is accessing to the information. Channeling is the energetic aspect of that connection. You can think of different types of channeling as different software or apps installed on the device. Everything you do and everything you are is channeled from consciousness. Channeling is the function of being within existence and allowing 100% whatever is in the what is to come through your individuated being without any form of resistance added by the mental plane. Everything you believe to be you, your personality, preferences, desires, talents, and dreams, can be categorized as channeling. As the athlete trains muscle, channels train space. As the athlete works towards endurance, the channel relaxes into surrender and allowance. All versions of all beings are parallel versions of one being. When channeling, you are connected to your parallel versions. When you have an inspiration, you are not having an inspiration about the future, but about the present. You can begin to think of your inspirations as doors that are opening with invitations to pass through them, and every invitation will lead you to another room. Art in any form is always a co-collaboration with the collective consciousness. The creative spark is universal. The desire to use any form of creation in order to bring joy and light to another being is service, no matter if that is of a quality that one deems worthy of merits or beauty. We would say that you will be able to know what is healthy or unhealthy, dangerous or not dangerous based upon how it feels. If something feels positive, there is a very good chance that it is. If something feels negative, we would say to distance yourself from those thoughts and from those actions. Any query on how to become a channel comes from a space of wanting to make that yours, or of it making you somehow better, or that striving will make you somehow better, but you cannot get better than perfection. There is no better than what is. The channeling happens whether or not you speak it. You are all sensitive, and it is doubt that does not allow you to accept what you and we are giving to you. To channel in this way means to feel ridiculous and do it anyway. You may think of your everyday life as a dream in the same way you now think of your multidimensional reality as the dream. For in your multidimensional reality, you are having a dream that you have this strange limited earth life where you have forgotten yourself and in which you struggle to remember, all the while doing the best of your capabilities to serve those around you with this gnawing sensation that something is not quite right. You are wise and know all that we know. It is just a question of remembering to have faith. You have your teachers at the push of a button and us at the distance of a flash of a thought. You are supported and cannot fail. Lean back, lean into it. It is so beautiful. You as all other selves. Every relationship and situation and interaction you have with another being makes your entire life story possible. You are saying goodbye to your personal relationships as you adopt the understanding that truly, this being a collective, nothing can be personal. When a teacher tells you that time does not exist, they are not being metaphorical. They are simply telling you what is true. When a teacher is telling you that all is one, they are not being poetic. They are simply telling you what is true. Once you can see with such great respect the beautiful nature of the tapestry you're weaving together, you will understand that there is the inability for your existence without theirs. The existence and presence of all, those with whom you come into contact, depends upon your thread holding them into the picture, and your existence depends upon their thread holding up yours. It would be wise to stop before each thought, scene change, interaction, and action and set an intention or recite a small prayer for the intention to see all as self and send love to self through others as you move through your day. Without the contrast, without these things that do not fit into your preference, without these things that underline separation to you, without these things that you see man propose against man, you would never have stopped to look at it with such a magnifying glass. The moment you separate yourself from another human being, you are separating yourself from all of his existence. You are separating yourself from God. If you could imagine the freedom that you would have if you allowed yourself to actually believe everything you've heard in these lines, you would be what you are, which is infinite. You would be what you are, which is omnipotent. You would be what you are, which is free. Again, we do not mean that you have to get into deep relationship with every being, but we do mean that every being has the potential and is placed in your field for you to be able to learn from them what it is you came to learn from them specifically. Remember that you cannot actually interact with an other self because an other self does not actually exist apart from you. What you interact with is your own perceptions of the other self. It is our excitement that in your present now, there will become times of experimentation with this concept more fully, and each of you will wake to realize quite how connected you are, and that these connections do not have meaning in the way you have believed connections to have in the past, but have completely different meanings and a potency that will skyrocket each of you to your ideal true self. Unconditional love. It is a word that is so misused and misunderstood in all of your languages, but love truly is the answer to all questions. Unconditional love is the absorption of other as self without seeing. Unconditional love will be who you are because it already is who you are. More on relating. Your children are not your own. Stop seeing them and treating them as such. They have nothing to do with you. You are not a parent. They are not your child. You did not bring them forth. They came through you of their own will. There is very little need of a child for a parent. Perhaps this is quite terrifying for parents who have assumed the current collective understanding of parenting. The children, while never detached from her as a mother child, will eventually be at their full development and will not be as easily influenced or reliant. The mother, on the other hand, may, in the time of her role as guardian, develop an attachment to the child that causes her to unnecessarily focus more on their sole purpose than her own. It is beautiful and biologically necessary to allow a focus of service to be dedicated to them in the time that they are very impressionable in their formation and vulnerable in their physical form. But one must endeavor to not be drawn so into the interaction that one believes they usurp the child's connection to source or its responsibility for it. Parent, guardian, or not, your main directive is always your own connection to source. They do not need you to fix them. They are not broken. Leave them be. Your children come through you for a reason. They choose you for a reason. They know what your level of consciousness is before they arrive. This and the coming generations will have more and more evolved beings incarnating on your planet. A lot of these incarnations will be drastic in some way, others subtle. Their natural propensity for love allows them to be who they are, to see other selves as they are. They are already the evolved species. These beings that come in every new generation, every new being is an upgrade. Regardless of how you judge yourself, you in every moment are doing everything right. You are already in love with every being you meet. You have just forgotten. A romantic or sexual relationship will never complete you despite what your collective has invented to state the obvious. No one will ever complete you. They can't because you are already complete. Relationships exist to allow you to see where it is you need to grow, or if one has already come to a state of loving oneself, that there is no more growth in that direction and one can truly love an other self. Our suggestion to you is to always focus first on the relationship with yourself wholeheartedly with that same passion that you have or would have for another self, whether currently a romantic partnership or not. You will have love with other selves naturally if you love yourself. While you are here, experiment with true loving oneself and one another, for once you come back to oneness and creation, and the all that is form of love for other is no longer possible, as there is no other to love. We are all creations of your consciousness, and the advice and or guidance are suggestions from you to yourself that you believe you need to make to yourself through an external or seeming external source so as to be able to either negate or accept those pieces of information, trying them on, so to speak. For once you have tried these pieces of information on, they belong to you. The student believes themselves to need the teacher because they are not able, holding their own distortions, to arrive at the same information from their own state of being. The moment that you hear a teacher's voice in the first place, however, is the moment in which you already know the information that will be passing from what seems like their mind into yours. Fortunately, you are an infinite being, omniscient. Therefore, the question is not, how can I know this thing? It is, what do I choose to know in this moment? One is only taught by a teacher because they are choosing to be taught. You may think of any teaching or study as a bridge that brings you along your journey. Cling to the bridge and you will not make it to the other side. We know that all are source and all are connected to source at all times, and so know that it is not possible to disconnect from source, and it is not necessary to effort one's way toward source as one already is. The beings that your voice is meant to touch in some way and help expand in some way, it will touch and expand them in a way that is applicable for them, even if it means them seeing you as somehow superior to them on some level. All that glitters. The financial and social systems you currently uphold on your planet do not function efficiently, cannot be sustained because you do not yet know that you are one body with the planet itself. You did not come here to survive. There is a common belief that there needs to be compromise in order to survive, that you must work in order to get this money that you think you need. There is the belief that work must be suffering or hard or painful. It's time to let go of these beliefs. When one is focused on their higher calling, they are sending out a message to the universe, the planet, or God, if you would use that term, that they are now aligned with the synergy we spoke of earlier. Much of what you currently believe to be a need is simply a distraction you hold in place to prevent you from having to address a true need. These new systems will be based on light, that will be based on the understanding of how horrifically perilous the old systems were and how your global connection of shared resources is your greatest strength. Now, on your planet, more than ever, if you believe that a lack of money will bring hunger, you will be hungry. If you believe that a lack of money will bring danger and physical harm, you will have that reality. If you believe there can be no lack in the universe, then your reality will reflect the situation where you will be supported and cared for, regardless of the changes ahead. We would like to remind you that the entire financial system and the way of which you have set it up on your planet is a self-created illusion, and you have forgotten completely that it is self-created and unreal, but lack and guilt are sensations being created in your emoto physical body based on a complete illusion. Abundance is having what you need when you need it. Therefore, financial abundance cannot exist because nobody needs little coins and pieces of paper or numbers on a computer screen ever. What you need is security, although you already have that. Nourishment, although you already have that. Love, but you always have that. In fact, the things you truly need, you already have in abundance. It is impossible not to have what you need in abundance, but one must realize who they are. There is a currency-less existence possible. Money in and of itself, dare we say, is useless. We do not mean to vilify money. We do not mean to propose that it is evil or good or that there is any opinion upon it whatsoever. We simply may suggest that you recall it is a game that grown children use to substitute their childhood games. If as much focus went into cultivating love and unification and brotherhood as maintaining an economy, then money would become absolutely unnecessary, and accumulation of wealth would be seen as a sign of doubt. If financial wealth comes to you freely because you are following your passion and you are freely sharing this wealth, spending it generously, sharing it, donating it, or using it in some way that feels good to you, then this is one healthy way to interact with money. If tomorrow all of my money disappeared, then what do I believe would happen to me? Find out what that fear is, who holds that fear, and then you can let both of them go. Debt, as all catalysts, is an opportunity to remain in one's chosen state despite circumstance. As debt is often seen as a negative thing, this would be its purpose. However, think of all your entrepreneurs and even your governments who accumulate debt and do not bat an eyelid. They have transcended the understanding that it is all just a game. You can never owe anyone anything. In the end, we were talking about apples on trees. The paper and the numbers mean nothing. The financial system is based on exchange of goods and services, one for another, or it was meant to be. And so someone with a basket of apples could bring them to a market and exchange them for a bucket of milk. One day that the apple farmer did not have apples, so wrote a paper and said, "I'm sorry, I do not have apples, but would still like a bucket of milk. Do you trust me?" And the cow farmer would say, "Yes, I do, but could you please write me a reminder?" A piece of paper or a stone will be taken out as a reminder of how many apples were owed to the farmer of the milk. This is your first example of debt and money. The exchange is now represented by the idea of exchanges. It is fiction. Separate your sense of worth from money and see how The moment you give this entire topic less focus, it will resolve itself in whatever way you choose it to. When understanding how to find a balance between giving and taking in this world, there is also those who struggle with the idea of receiving money. And to you, we have a simple phrase you may repeat to yourself: if I cannot eat, I cannot serve. The inability to receive money is a programming that has been adopted by many that is in service, specifically to put them in a position of not being able to be in service. Every time you accept money from someone who can afford to pay you, you're then able to serve someone who cannot afford to pay you. Generosity is the act of generating more wealth for all. Your tendencies for destruction are based only on fear. Not only the body. The body is as spiritual as any other aspect of you. In fact, it is made up first of spirit, more so than matter. Matter is a concept that a limited scientific understanding has created in order to explain the unexplainable, for there is truly no satisfactory way to explain to a mind within existence how any of existence exists. To reframe, you are not the body because you are not only the body. Even in the case of you are very young, there are many unexplained deaths where the spirit is unable, or rather unwilling, to continue to make the effort of learning to remain so wholly attached. Incarnation is not the natural state of consciousness. Everything is your choice, and your beliefs about everything that you are in contact with will influence your situation with them. Therefore, one can eat what is considered an unhealthy diet on your planet, and as long as that one believes it was well for their body, they will have no consequence from their diet. In terms of diet, our blanket statement would be to endeavor to keep it as close as possible to foods that have come directly from the planet. As your frequency increases, you'll naturally be drawn to foods that are better for you. As your self-love increases, you will naturally be drawn to foods that are better for you. You know on an instinctual and biological level which foods are good for you. In terms of practices and non-physical diet, meditation is always suggested, the intention being the clearing of mind, for it is not so much one's action that brings results, but their intention. Your body, your best ally. The body cares for you unconditionally. It is always in service for you. Every perceived misalignment or pain or discomfort is your body loving you unconditionally. It is its way of communicating with you. If one has a cold and decides not to go to a party, to stay home to rest, it may not be because they need to stay home and rest. It may be because there was something or someone at the party that their higher self knew was not in their best interest to engage with in that moment in time. Blocks and trauma in the body. We would love to remind you that a blockage or trauma stored in your body, no matter the discomfort level, no matter the distraction level, is in service to you. The issue exists for you have not yet learned some lesson. Focus on the part of the body that has this registration for you and hit the play button by asking it, what do you have to tell me? It will often begin to tell you the story, what you believe happened to you, and what you could do to resolve it within yourself in forgiveness, learning, and love. Physical pain can be seen as a sensation to relax into. It is focusing. It is impossible to heal. That is why healing never occurs and never truly can occur. There is nothing unwell, unhealed, or imperfect about your body, no matter what level of health or wellness you are believing you are experiencing. For example, if part of your blueprint and exploration for being here includes the act of being healed outside of your conventional medical systems, then you will need to have some form of ailments to heal to be able to do that exploration. Healing, in the way that you collectively have it defined, is a natural phenomenon as each being begins to listen more wholly to their body, and each being begins to accept wholly the what is, and each being sees the beauty in the vessel that they are housed in. The non-physical, physical body. When you refer to intuition, you have a sense that this is not in your sensory body. This is correct. There is a space, not in the sense of location, that seems to be somewhere. You are able to perceive intuition as having a location, even though it does not have one in what you understand as the reality of location. If you become accustomed to locating this non-local somewhere, you will be able to listen to this font more clearly and without having to search for it, as you already know where it is. This is the skill required for accessing higher consciousness. As all humans are capable of allowing heightened extrasensory perception, when coming to know the energy that animates their own lives, they will have access or contact with the residue of all other energies to a greater or lesser degree. One side effect of having these subtle channels open is confusion. However, confusion only arises when one is attempting to give meaning to new situations based upon old understandings. If you can embody the energies of change with the curiosity of a child, with that innocence and non-judgment of self and circumstance, then any change is smoother, more enjoyable, and will come to its most fruitful end. Death and aging of the physical body. Your thoughts control reality also on the level of what you call scientific reality. Science will slowly or quickly, depending on you, announce their discoveries in this direction. There's no need for the body to fail and die. The only way to avoid the death process is to be truly alive in every moment. It is not enough to wake and wander through existence for your days. On this level, one must remember that death is a concept within the illusion of this particular construction of what is called reality. However, there is no proof that anyone dies. The simple action of remembering one who has passed connects the living with that energy form, with that consciousness, and therefore there is more access to the consciousness. In the tapestry, you are connected with this being, whether or not they have a physical form. We guarantee to you that it is possible to be immortal, and that you all are the thinking, feeling mind. Just beyond your physical body is all that with which you identify as you that is non-physical, your thoughts and emotions. Neither your thoughts nor your feelings are personal to you as an individualization. In the same way your body is on loan from the earth, your mind is on loan from the ether. Emotions signal the validity or non-validity of your thoughts with knowing. Knowing is the truth of existence. Who created thoughts, or whose are they? They are no one's. They are the ones, and in reality, there is only one thought. But what you perceive as a never-ending stream of consciousness is not yours in the way you identify with it. It is no one's. To explain this further, you may use the example of the wind. The wind does not belong to anyone, it just is. Sometimes it blows in your face and moves your hair and gives you a chill and passes through you. The thoughts are similar, and yet, as with the wind, you do not have control aside from where you position yourself in an environment as to whether or not you will be chilled by the wind. If you do not identify with your thoughts, you would simply move out of the way in the same way as when there's a heavy wind. You do not say, "This is where I meant to stand. This is my position." You can know if the thoughts you are choosing are in alignment with your inner desires for learning by paying attention to the emotions generated by a chosen thought. If they are positive, you are approaching an aligned version of who you would like to be. We suggest increasing the frequency with which you practice deliberate choosing. It becomes simple to allow thoughts to come and go when you do not identify with them as yours. When one is focused on what is, and that can be the sensation of an ant crawling up your arm, or the grass beneath your feet, or whatever other sensation you are presently experiencing, positive or negative, you will eventually let go of all the thoughts. Again, this is not thinking of nothing. This is focusing on something. However, when you find you have thoughts that are running in a direction that is no longer serving you, and you will know this based upon the negative emotions that occur around the thoughts, you may interject with your language. You may use your mind and stop and calm thoughts. You may talk with yourself. You may verbalize with your mind these words: "These thoughts are not serving me. It is okay for them to be there. I have a preference to think about these other thoughts." One must clean the wound. One must then dress and protect the physical wound. It is the same with emotional wounding. The easiest way to do this is with self-love. An adult teaches a child what sadness is, and in the same moment explains how it needs to be fixed. An adult teaches a child what happiness is when it sees an expression of happiness, and in the same moment explains which expressions of happiness are appropriate and which are not appropriate, which are acceptable in that specific culture or community, which are not acceptable. You have learned that the most acceptable way to express emotions is by labeling and verbalizing them instead of simply feeling them. Emotions are not controllable. They are only suppressed or expressed. Your emotional guidance is never about a situation. Your emotional guidance is always about your perception of the situation. While emotions are not controllable, thoughts are. We would say to tap into your intuition and your body more often than your mind, and yet not to vilify your mind, for it is a tool that is often vilified. Remember that there is no need to have complete clarity. There's no need to get to where you perceive it is that you want to be, for where you are now is where you are meant to be. If you feel a negative emotion or uncomfortable emotion, it is safe to assume that there is a belief behind that emotion. A belief is any thought you have placed your identity into. There is truly no belief in hunting. There is truly no benefit in hunting for negative core beliefs because your entire existence is structured in a way to reveal them to you. The beliefs that you accumulated that do not serve you are hidden at this moment because it serves you that they are hidden at this moment. And they will be revealed at the moment it is necessary and possible for you to dismantle and release them. Until that point, hunting for them, chasing them is possibly distracting you from what's happening in this moment and what can be released in the now. Once you truly believe that a belief is no longer serving you, you will let it go naturally. There's nothing you have to do except open your hands. You are safe to let go of everything that does not serve you. You have the freedom to choose every moment that comes, herefore in the way that brings you the most joy. Knowing is native. Knowing is what is beyond belief. It is the absolute acceptance of what is without cognitive awareness or additions. Knowing is native to you. You are knowing. You do not need to know anything because you already do know. Do not lie to yourself. Do not say that you want something that you do not want because you will get what you want, not what you say that you want. Intention creates reality. Intention is your main source of power. If you can consciously choose your intention, you can create reality in front of your eyes. As you begin to shift your intentions from all others to the one truth, the intention to love, you will find that most of your problems and challenges dissipate and vanish. Love is the recognition that another is oneself. We acknowledge the setting of love as one's main intention because it is the only intention of all that is, even if it seems to not be the case. Expecting an outcome is not the same as intending it. Expectation relies on the external circumstance, while intending is all on you. Expectations are not choices you are choosing when you're expecting something, you are hoping in a positive direction. Hope comes from the perception that your world can be conditional. You are running a lack belief programming when you hold hope and expectations, because if you choose and intended, you would know, and your experience would reflect this knowing. An expectation can only exist when there is doubt of your chosen outcome. And if there is doubt in your chosen outcome, then what you will receive is doubt. All that is fascinated by your potential for love, happiness, alignment. These things can appear with or without your preference of vehicle and are often impeded directly by your preferences. The next time you would like to peer into the future, we would suggest choosing and intending over hoping or expecting. Doubt arises to remind you how important it is to choose. Doubt arises to remind you, without a doubt, you truly can control your entire existence. The opposite of doubt is faith. That is the beautiful lesson of the sentiment. Doubt will push you eventually to choose faith. Faith is created through a wise intention. A wise intention is one that cannot fail to provide. Intention of faith are the greatest goal-achieving skills that one can practice. When you believe that your intention does not create your reality, you will be able to create your reality based on your intention. All you must do is decide what feels good to you. Intend for that to be the outcome, sensation-wise, of whatever it is that does occur. And you will find that regardless of what transpires, this sensation appears in your existence. That is why gratitude is so powerful. It is the intention to feel good and be grateful for what one has. If one is grateful for what one has, one can only have the sensation to be grateful for what one has. Therefore, nothing for which one would not be grateful could arrive in one's reality. Gratitude or appreciation is one of the highest frequencies that a human can achieve, and one of the easiest to practice achieving without, for example, an external circumstance to have to stimulate it. So gratitude is simply aligning with what is. It is recognizing and intending to admit to the miracle. Being grateful for the air going in and out of your lung is recognizing the miracle of that fact. Being grateful for your neighbor taking your post when you're gone on holiday is a recognition of the miracle of the fact. A small child knows nothing but the miracle. They know nothing but gratitude. They are a living example of it. On being human. We ask you to forget everything you think you know about self-realization in order to begin to truly live with self-realization. The only way to truly transcend the self is to allow the human to be what it is, as a beautiful and necessary wanted part of the self. Navigating current events. Your responsibility is to eliminate the addiction you have to these emotions and to never waver in the stimulus of them. Your second responsibility would be to share with others how to do this. Thoughts and words change which pixels light up. There is not a war of good versus evil. There is instead the choice between oneness and separation. Your experience with learning to believe and know 100% your worthiness, 100% your beauty, will be an example for all those who are around you, for all those that see you, for all those that come to you for counsel for the rest of your existence. This is not your paramount job. This is your highest service, and this is what you can do, which is 100% in your capability and within your grasp. Imagine any situation that you do not prefer as if it were a mosquito. Every annoyance or challenge that arrives in your field, even those that seem universal, is both universal and personal, because your portion of all that is has chosen to have that experience in order to expand from it. You may choose at any time what mosquitoes or any other uncomfortable circumstance means to you. If the catalyst seems to prevent you from going on hikes, that is your choice. If they prevent you from sitting around the campfire, that is your choice. If it teaches you that reality is illusion, that is your choice. Remember too that you are the mosquito. It would not exist without you, and you cannot exist without it. You can give significance to any and all circumstances. You can call it evil and combat it. You can also realize its true purpose, a motivating factor for you to choose who you would like to be in the face of that catalyst. Do you choose to be a victim in it? Do you choose to be its enemy? Do you choose to live in the disempowering frequency of fear? Do you choose to embrace it and allow yourself to be inspired into loving change that is calling for you? Fear does not bring the things that you prefer to you. Move towards the cause of the fear until it is seen it is an illusion. Once seen as the illusion, there is an automatic shift into a timeline where the thing that was once feared is now neutral and no longer a threat, or it is removed from one's reality altogether. The battle is always inside you. The opposition and arguments that arise when you contemplate these words bring them all back to love. In this moment, you are safe. You are listening to the words on this page or reading the words on this page. The belief that you cannot be safe is what is creating an unsafe future moment. We guarantee you that even in what you believe may be unsafe future moment, you are also safe. Connecting what your primal fears is only a good thing, for as you look at it, it can be released, felt, and let go. It exists within all of you. It is natural. We will point to the fact that when something feels bad, it is bad. This is simple. When something feels good, it is closer to the truth than the thing that feels bad, because it is closer to your truth and the truth of what you would like to see in the world. You can experiment with this. You do not need to believe what we are saying in this moment. All you would need to do for your experiment would be to focus on what you would like to see in the world, and then see how opportunities and situations present themselves with the solutions that you are already looking for. There is nothing that is outside of your control, and we are sensitive to the fact that it does not seem this way. In part, this is why we choose to talk with you. You are safe to let go of any beliefs that are not serving you and adopt those that do. Any topic exists for several reasons. The first is that you choose for it to exist, and on a collective level, you are choosing for it to exist. Remove judgment from any topic, and one suddenly has to look at why they were judging it in the first place. You are not truly facing a climate change. You are facing your own choice to not face anything at all. Remember that when a collective comes to a point of enough discomfort, it is necessary for them to change course. There is always the simple road or the difficult road to the same destination. Many are the stimulus in your current environment that point towards you choosing fear as opposed to faith. The faith is not required on an external level. You do not have to have faith that everything will be okay. You just have to have faith in yourself. Faith means that you do not require external circumstances to match your preference to remain in a high frequency state. This is a lesson many of you are wanting to learn at this time. So let me repeat that. Faith means that you do not require external circumstances to match your preference to remain in a high frequency state. You get to choose what the outcome of every single event that enters your consciousness will be. You get to choose. You get to choose if things miraculously get better. You get to choose if aliens land tomorrow. You get to choose the invention of a new fruit. And as you choose faith, you will be directed to action that supports the outcome that you choose through faith. The planet that you individually are on is responding to you and your choices as a collective in the same way all of reality is responding to you and your choices. The only thing you have to know to save humanity and save yourself is that there is nothing to be saved, and that saving yourself from this nothing takes far less effort than you believe it does. Preparing for the future. There is no accurate prediction of the future because it is you who chooses your future. It is you who controls what we are about to say to you next. All of creation is a mirror. We know that all it would take for everything to be okay is for you to believe that everything is going to be okay. What this means is that you as an individual have the power to choose what the free will of the other beings on the planet would be. This is because in the infinite realities that are available, you get to choose the one that you experience. Your choice will be made with your intention as well as the thoughts that you are thinking on a daily basis, your beliefs and your vibration. Yes, you are told often that you choose your suffering, and you do. You choose it because it is so valuable to you and for your expansion. Learning, enjoy learning. Cultivate your understanding of this one fact, and this is fact that without you, the universe would not exist. It would not, it could not. Infinity could not exist without you. The experience of being human is beautiful. Be you. This is the only future preparation you will need. You get to choose.